They would have so much control over everything if they had that.
If this information was all released, it could fall into the wrong hands.
They're using security as a cover for illicit or illegal or even treasonous activities.
Well, one of the more spectacular ones, you talked about the Nimitz, the Commander David Fravor experience. So they're flying over the water outside of San Diego, and they think they see something below the surface, and which is large, and then this 20-foot tic-tac looking thing that's hovering over the water that seems to turn towards them and recognize that it jams their radar. It does something to block their ability to detect it.
Submarines and aircraft carrier encounter some UAP off the coast of San Diego. I'm going to go into that case, but I'm going to go into from a different angle, because one of those craft at 24,000 miles an hour went into the ocean and nuclear sub sonar. Officer reported that it was traveling under the water at 2 times or 3 times the speed of the fastest submarine known to man, which is impossible. But I want to cover that. So when those 3 UAPs were shot down, like it was a story for a day and it was forgotten. And then I saw that one of them was shaped like an octagon. It reminded me of Jake Barber, his account with News Nation about his spiritual experience when he was transporting I believe that these are advanced human-made UAPs that they shot down. I don't think that they really have the ability to shoot down non-human UAPs for some reason. Just because of the fact of the psychological aspect.
A declassified Cold War-era file from the CIA has gone viral over its coverage of a supposed clash between Soviet soldiers and a UFO, whose passengers reportedly turned the troops to stone before blasting off.
These unidentified flying phenomenon or objects, I don't know what they are.
Reportedly, following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the CIA acquired a 250-page KGB report recounting the events that transpired after a platoon fired at a flying saucer over Ukraine. The report included eyewitness accounts and pictures of the aftermath, which one American agent described as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. The report claims that Soviets conducting a training exercise in Ukraine spotted a low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer soaring above their heads. During the encounter, one of the Soviets fired a surface-to-air missile, which struck the UFO and sent it crashing to the ground. In the report, a surviving soldier claims that it fell to Earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. After escaping the debris of their ruined ship, the beings allegedly huddled together and merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At the very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon had turned to stone poles. Only 2 who stood in the shade were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived. According to the report, the KGB allegedly took custody of the petrified soldiers and the ruined spaceship, which were transported to a secret base near Moscow. The Soviet scientists claimed that whatever the light was, it somehow transformed the soldiers' living cells into a substance that was identical to that of limestone.
Maybe there was something that went off that was so intense in heat, it vaporized all the water in those soldiers, turning them to stone.
A nuclear explosion, if you're close enough, will flash incinerate you.
The CIA concluded that if the report were true, it presents a concerning prospect for humanity. If the KGB file corresponds to reality, it is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked. The CIA document was declassified in the year 2000 and originally covered by Canadian weekly World News and the Ukrainian paper Holos Ukraini, but it has remained of interest to UFO aficionados.
What do you think about all this UFO disclosure paying attention to it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool.
It's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
These guys shot at a UFO and it turned them into stone.
No matter what the surveys say or anything, everyone thinks there's like
something going on.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Stories of unidentified aerial phenomena and alien visitors have resurfaced in the public mind following the Department of Defense's establishment of the UAP task force in 2020.
Do you think extraterrestrial life is out there?
I think it's statistically unrealistic to think it isn't.
It saw the government's release of a plethora of new files on the mysterious flying objects recorded by the federal government with a goal to detect, analyze, and catalog the UAPs.
The universe brims with mysteries, and we so want many of those mysteries to be a light in the sky you don't understand. Gee, I want that to be aliens visiting us.
I don't like to speculate much, but no, I mean, I think if they had a plan or something they could do, they don't really need a Congress. They have enough laws on there. They don't need the Congress to say, well, we had a hearing and we've come up with an idea, go do it. The military and Homeland Security and the FAA are going to do what they've got to do. They have the authority now to do that.
Mr. Mayor, what do you want to see done? What would you like to see done in your part of New Jersey?
Well, I would like to see if they. I've suggested this idea. If they know what these things are, if they actually do know, which of course the average person thinks that they do. They think the government knows everything. People think I know all this, but if they do actually know it, they need to put it out through channels in a way to say, hey, look, we can reassure you, we know what it is, what these are, and what's going on. There are certain people in the communities, in the political and in the law enforcement communities that can be trusted. And people would say, okay, we believe you. We have faith in you and we'll buy into that. People understand national security. They also understand, President-elect Trump. President Trump personally lands at an airport near Marston Airport. And everybody thought, well, that's okay. We don't want him to get hurt. But if they don't actually know, they need to just start finding out.
Von Rennenkamp, who's a correspondent for The Hill. Marek's been monitoring the ongoing Department of Homeland Security hearing, which was ostentatiously entitled and somewhat optimistically entitled, Safeguarding the Homeland from Unmanned Aerial Systems, which has just completed, or we're actually just coming up to the end of that hearing. Marek, what happened in the hearing? Has there been, I hope, explosions as members of Congress seek answers and try and get some explanations for what these weird objects are?
Well, Ross, first of all, thanks so much for having me back on. And I'll start off by, this is a truly bizarre story and series of events. Bottom line from my read of that hearing is that the FBI is utterly clueless about what is occurring. I'll quickly add, in the post 9/11 world, I find it shocking, it's egregious, it's astounding that this is happening, and it's been going on for a month now. We just learned today that the first sightings were confirmed on November 13th over Picatinny Arsenal, which is a military research facility that goes back even a few days earlier than that we knew previously. This is astounding that nobody has any answers.
Actually, it's earlier than that, isn't it, Marek? I mean, as you know, we've been reporting on Reality Check the weird so-called drone sightings over Langley Air Force Base. I think you've reported on that as well. And there's also Eglin Air Force Base and multiple other bases all across the continental United States that have been seeing anomalous objects, which the Air Force particularly and the Department of Defense and intelligence community have been calling drones. This is a historical problem, isn't it?
Very much so.
The arrogance of this general was beyond belief.
The problem with that, it wasn't planned properly with enough intelligence and information. Number one, the members of Congress didn't have the detailed information of the precise location of the important underground facility there that people on my team have been in, all right? So number one, they need more intelligence, and I've told them, you need to ask us and we can give you that granular, detailed information. Number two, you don't ask. You show up with law enforcement and say, we are going to, under the authority of the Constitution, see this. And you don't go in there and knock on the door and say, pretty please. And I have actually since then said this to members of Congress. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say there's the Gambino crime family back in the day, and they have a storefront selling pizza, all right? And in the back, there's drug running and all kinds of money laundering or whatever going on. You don't go to that pizza parlor, knock on the front door and say, pretty please, can I see what's in the back and see your criminal operation? Right?